Hey, good morning, everyone. Hope you had a good weekend. I hope you and yours are safe and well. And we're into, well, really officially in the UK here, second week of lockdown, quarantine, whatever you want to call it. But we've had some interesting moves in the market. So I don't think I brought you an update on Friday. So we can see what happened on Friday and have a little look at candle closes. So I'm going to use the weekly chart to start with, and we'll have a look at the DAX first. So have a look at where the German index is. So we'll just stay in Europe for a little bit. Now what you'll notice, if I just zoom in and you see here, so we had our first weekly candle close since we saw the market sell off. And this is where a sell-off, if you look at the DAX particularly, if you look at the DAX technically, our sell-off, we've been hitting, retesting and retesting the previous highs of 2018. You can see those back here. They were the all-time highs on the DAX. We went a little bit higher, kept testing, kept testing. Not huge divergence, but price was going higher, MACD was flat, and then we had the sell-off, and obviously everything that we've had with the coronavirus since then. But you'll notice, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 downward weeks, and then we had our first positive week, but not just our first positive week. You'll see we almost closed the gap between the last 2 weeks, and we closed nicely above the support level. Now, it will be interesting to see if we get some further upside and we take out those previous highs. We've got those previous lows just there. All right, so it'll be interesting to see. We've reacted to that little area. So we've gone up, had a little move back in to that area there. Now, any sort of retracement, we can start to have a look and see where we are in terms of distance here. 38.2 retracement we almost got. 50% retracement, that little bit higher. So whether we want to get up, take the high out and get up and do a 50% on the DAX. But obviously an interesting one is going to be, let me just get rid of those. An interesting one is going to be the monthly close. So again, the DAX, big retracement. You can see the monthly candle has retraced back. Now we may roll over, and by Wednesday we'll close the play on Tuesday. That looks very different, but close the play on Tuesday will show us where this monthly candle will be. So I'm going to go back to the weekly, just have a quick look at the, where are we, weekly chart here. Where are we? FTSE. Let's go and have a look at the FTSE. Same idea, positive close off that support zone, off its 2012 lows, the higher part of the zone being the 2016 lows. So again, big positive close, big engulfing candle on the weekly, but again, we'll see where we are when we have a little look at the monthly, which will be Wednesday morning. We'll see where the monthly candle is. So obviously a big, I think fairly important this week. See whether we can push up and take out the highs of these positive candles that we're seeing on the FTSE and the Dow, and obviously with the monthly close. So Wednesday seeing the start of the new month, Friday seeing the close of the week. It'll be interesting to see where we are. S&P, so we'll jump across the pond. So I'm actually going to start with the Dow, because the Dow, interestingly enough, the Dow went that much lower. If you've been tracking the videos, you'll have heard me talk about the Dow going lower, going below its previous lows of 2019. Again, there's the monthly candle. We'll see where that is by Wednesday morning. If we look at the weekly chart, however, the weekly candle close was just above those previous lows of 2018. Now, I don't think that means a great deal, but if we take the high out of last week's candle, so we've had a positive candle, didn't engulf the previous week, but positive. If we take that out, we'll well, that'll be interesting in terms of the move. Retracement wise, you can see again, if we took that high out, I'd be looking towards that halfway point in the downward move, that 50% retracement. And again, one upward week, but that was almost a little bit of a breather, relief week. You can see, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 downward weeks, one slight upward week, but a stronger one there on the Dow. Now let's go and compare the S&P, because the price action week by week is similar, but as you'll see with the S&P, a stronger close above the 2018 lows. In terms of size of retracement, I think it's about the same. Yeah, so it did a 38.2. But again, if we take the highs out of last week, I would be looking towards that 50% mark just there. Now, I do actually have a long trade running on the S&P right now. I'm just going to pull up the 4-hour chart. You can see this. We had one of our setups here, so I actually am currently long. I'm looking for a retest of these highs, and then my stop would come to break even, and I'm looking to run this a little bit further up. So in terms of trades, and I'll talk about currencies in a second. In terms of trades, I've got one currency trade running short US dollar Singapore. You can see that there. That's actually now got its stop at break even, so you can see that there. So that's a short trade that I've been in for a little while. Don't worry about all these yellow lines, but you can see I've got a target down here. So I've got a 3-to-1 target, and that trade is currently a no lose. So it's in a nice bit of profit. It hit 2-to-1 early this morning, and I'm sitting in that one. And there's that S&P trade that I've just been talking about. It's quite early days on that one. So again, I'm very wary that my analysis, and this is something I um, touched on before, often traders will see me in a long trade, and what they'll think is I'm extremely bullish about that market. Well, that's relative to the type of trade that I'm placing. So this, whilst it's not an extreme against the trend trade, I haven't gone long at a support or resistance. We have had that little bounce that you can see. I'll just go to the daily chart as well. So there's the daily chart. So the only reason I'm long is because we've come off a key support and a certain set of criteria have happened that I know what allows me to essentially go long. And I don't know whether or not the trade's going to win, but it allows me to go long. So am I overly bullish? Well, as I've said, if we take the highs out on the weekly, I would then expect price to push that a little bit higher. If we take those highs out, I would expect it to push that little bit higher. But I'm not overly bullish. I don't expect the market to rally all the way up here. I'm not about predicting the future. I'm looking at when certain things happen, certain levels get hit, trade opportunities come along. So yeah, so whilst I'm doing this analysis, I'm not hoping, obviously it'd be nice if it pushes on higher, but I'm staying objective. So for me, a break of that high, I think we could go higher. My trade's set up on that one, and that's where we are. So what else? Let's go and have a little look at Euro US dollar. Euro US dollar has been quite choppy, and then we had, well, you can see quite choppy, and then that increase in volatility since this all kicked off in early March. So you can just see by the size of the weekly candles, not only have the weekly candles increased in range, you can see we've pushed up, pushed down, pushed up again, and we're really stuck right at this weekly 50 moving average and the weekly 21 moving average. And you know when a market is choppy and sideways and doing that, because I can then visually see that. But also if I go to the monthly chart, look, we are slightly below, but the monthly 50 and the monthly 21, you can see those there. They're a bit choppy, crisscrossing each other. Weekly chart, I'll go to that. There's the weekly 50 and 21. So price not really giving any clear indications here on euro. For me personally, if I was going to be trading anything, I would be looking at a retest of the 2016 lows that you can see bottom left here. So for me, price would have to take the current lows out. If it did that, I would be more confident about it getting down to the support. But what we've got going on in here, in terms of a trade to the upside, I would be more keen for a with the trend trade if we got above here, and any sort of reversal for me would be up here. So my reversal trade would be up here, my reversal short would be up here, my reversal long would be down here, but there's only really enough room for with the trend trades between a break of these highs and up here, and I'd be a little bit wary of that high there. There's not really, if price came down, enough room for with the trend trades to the downside. So this is where your overall market analysis is very important. What I'm doing here is essentially looking where price is, what levels it could take out to determine where it would go next, and if it was to do that, where I would consider trades. So at the moment, I'd consider with the trend trades above here, against the trend trades here, against the trend trades here, but no with the trend trade here, really, because there isn't enough room for price to do that before it would be down at this level again. So really, I'm framing, this is what we talk a lot about, and I get my professional members to become really proficient at, and we do a session on this at least once a week in our room, but I'm helping them all the time on this, is to frame each market they're looking at, so you then pick the appropriate strategy for that. And we do have some strategies that work in between, but not when a market is doing this, when a market is really choppy like that. Right, let's go and have a little look at pound US dollar, because we had our trade. Now this is the difference here. So if you look at pound US dollar, and I pop that level of support in there, you'll notice that the pound, whilst it's done very similar to euro, we can see the volatility is increased. So the size of the candles has got bigger. The move has got bigger relative to before, and that's obviously relative to what is happening right now with the sell-off on the US markets and the virus and everything else that's going on. But what we did have is we had our long trade on pound US dollar last week because we reached the previous low. So you'll see we got a retest of those 2016 lows. Now I was still quite cautious with this because of the volatility, but then we had a lovely move back up. Now if you take it from the highs of March and you look at how much that has retraced, you can see that has retraced past 50% of that drop and has done nearly a 61.8. And if I take from the highs of last year, and you can see if I overlap that, then we got a 50% retracement of the overall move. So we got the move, I'll change the color on there so you can see it. So we got a move down and a move back up there. So in relative terms, we did 61.8% since March, but since the highs of last year, we've retraced 50%. So the pound against the US dollar had a big surge last week, and this is where, if you get the setup, you can get a nice move. So yeah, we had a nice trade on here. I'll go down to the 4-hour just so you can see it in relative terms. So our trade was essentially from, and you'll see it here, it was a 3-to-1 trade. So we actually managed to capture this much of the move. And I think I showed you that trade live last week. So we managed to capture this much of the move. As you can see, it's gone a bit higher. Not worried about that because we got our strategy set up at this area here. Had to sit in it for a while, took a bit of heat, almost got stopped out on that. And then you can see it's rolled up, and that was what we managed to take. So 3 times our risk. So a nice trade. At the moment, I was actually looking at some of the data. And if you look here, I was doing this morning actually, just getting on top of our data. So these are the trades that we have had since the coronavirus market crash that you can see here. So what we've got is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trades you can see here. So at the moment we've currently had 1 loser. Now it's important to say, look, this is a break-even trade. So we've had 3 3-to-1 winners, then a break-even, then this one just under. That was just due to a little bit of slippage that we got. But you'll see here, look, I'm currently in US dollar Singapore again because it reset up. Now this could end up as a break-even trade, but because my stops at entry, that one won't lose. And this S&P trade here could lose me 1%. So far, since this drop, we've probably seen an average drop in world indices, and as a result, people's pension funds and their mutual funds probably seen world indices drop anywhere from 20 to 30%. Now they are recovering back, so you can see there has been a bounce back, but you can see that during this time we've done okay in terms of percent return, and that's a compounded percent return. So fairly happy with where we are on that in terms of our trades and how we are getting on. So all good there. So that's really it. Currencies. I was going to have a quick look at gold and silver. Now, gold, I'm going to go up to the weekly chart to give us a little bit of perspective. So gold had a little bit of a rally last week, you can see there. But again, you can see that increase in volatility on gold. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just going to have a quick look at oil. You can see oil is down again. Oil actually, no recovery with oil at all. You can see here oil actually took out its lows. Now, we were having a discussion about this in the trading room. And currently, if you think about it, most planes are grounded, cars are not being used. We had that increase in supply from the Saudis when they were having an argument with the Russians around this time here. So it's a perfect storm for oil for its prices to be down. So you can see really got down here on the futures. I think we took out the lows, and I'll just get my crosses so you can see this, and we actually got on the futures chart, we got a low of 19.9, so it's hovering around that $20 a barrel mark. But again, oil not having the same push back up that you've seen in the indices, you've seen on pound US dollar and some of the other currencies. So oil just sitting around this $20 mark. So slightly longer than normal. Hope that was good to give you a little wrap up of the market, see where we are with the trades. Those of you that are watching this as free members, don't forget this week there are there's one webinar this week and one webinar running next week. So make sure you log into your dashboard so that you can sign up and register for that. I hope these updates are useful. Don't forget to send us any questions. If you're interested in any of our products, whether it's our longer term beat the bank strategy or it's our beat the fund strategy, or you're interested in getting in the 30 to 50% return mark, then get in touch with us and we can let you know about our Total Trader program. So thanks guys from our Telegram groups. I am going to do now an update on all the possible trades and go into a little bit more detail about the live trades, and I'll see you at 8:30 this morning for our first session of the week. So trade safe, stay safe, and I'll catch up with you soon.